Unlock your potential.
That was a remix, huh?
Well, it's a little shorter snippet. It just kind of made it start and end in a different spot. Since I had a limited workspace, but welcome back. Happy Monday. And welcome to another episode of Get Found
and Be Seen.
And here we are, being seen. Today's episode is kind of interesting. I thought since last week we discussed a little bit about funnel pages, but I think that going back and dissecting the anatomy of a funnel would be a great starting point to understand that, funnels were something before they were funnels, because before the internet, people sold stuff.
Go figure. What? You got to be kidding me.
Yep, there was some stuff sold back when I was training my dinosaur. I know that I had to go buy dino feed. And
Dino
the dino. Yeah.
Remember that cartoon?
Stuff.
Flintstones.
Yeah, so let's talk about the funnel structure and how it's related to the customer journey. That's the big social norm. It's like, a funnel. Well, that's the customer's journey to buying your product, to getting your result, to having their problem solved, to whatever it is that problem agitate, solve. But we can go to another model and say a funnel before a funnel, when people were doing door-to-door sales. In fact, I think it was 1898. There's a fella named Elmo Lewis, and he described the AIDA model, AIDA. And that was the predecessor or the birth of the funnel, because it talks about awareness, interest, desire, and action. In fact, let's map this out. Visually map this out. We're a video podcast, so this will be exciting. Let's see if I got this to work. Foosh. All right, there it is. The funnel structure mind map. So let's start out with the AIDA model and what it is. And I said we started out where it is awareness. If I could type awareness, interest, desire, and action.
Monty, I gotta say, you're like a mind map ninja.
Well, thank you very much. I really like mind maps. They've helped me on so many levels, and I don't have a fancy whiteboard, so here we go.
Yeah.
So here's the basic structure, and it's interesting that we can take this and say, okay, well, what is a funnel? A funnel structure. I'll just call it funnel. Well, and before I go into that, the AIDA model, here's the customer's journey. Let's define that. The awareness. The customer is either completely unaware or only slightly aware, and the door-to-door salesman needs to make them more aware. They need to spark their interest. So that's where the salesperson comes in with their headlines, for a better term. Their sales one-liners. They needed to have that hook to get in the door. They needed to find out what the customer's desire was. so that they could lead the customer through to say, hey, do you know about this problem? Yeah, you know about the problem, huh? Because there's this pain point involved with this problem. And so therefore,
Mm-hmm.
desire a result. You desire a solution to that problem. Well, here, I have the solution. Buy it from me.
Right.
So if we bring that over to the funnel and say, okay, well, at the top tier here, when we are marketing, when a marketer is trying to get the word out, they're promoting. And a marketer, as you were saying earlier before the show, Carl, it's good to point out that even if you're not a marketer, if you have a
Right.
service or a product for sale, then you need to have that marketed. And unless you have a team of marketers that does that for you,
Right.
it falls on your shoulders. So you have to put on that hat, the marketer's hat, and say, okay, I need to get out of this. I've created something. I'm out of my creative mode, and now I'm into sales mode. I need to market this thing. And the first thing you got to do is make people aware of it. Awareness. Well, how does a marketer make people aware? Well, by promotion. So then
Oh,
we need to educate. Whoa, education. That's the interest. We need to make sure that they have all the information that they need so that they're
right.
interested in our product or service. Which then we need to justify, or justification. That's the desire. Why would you want it? Why is it, is it efficient? Is it effective? Is it cost effective? Is it, whatever it is, justifying. And lastly, there's the invitation.
Right.
So on one side, we're looking at it more from the customer's point of view and what we need to do or what needs to be done for them to ultimately take the action.
Right.
And so if we just look at it from the marketing side of what a marketer needs to do so that these things can happen.
Right.
Now in here, interestingly enough, we have feature, benefit, and meaning. But wait, there's more. We have the result and we have the outcome. Oh, we better capitalize it or my brain won't accept it. Okay, so in the feature and benefit area, that's our promotion. That's awareness, that they're aware of what it is and what it does. And in the promotion stage, we want to be referencing the outcome at the very end. We don't want to be talking about any of the steps in between. We're talking about what it is, what it does, and why you would want it in the very end. That's kind of the promotion and the awareness stage. This is the top of the funnel. This is where people start thinking about the funnel and they think the top stage, that's people are coming into the funnel and they come down through all these stages. But that's not necessarily true. So let's dissect this out to figure out why that's not true. Well, here we are, we're promoting. This is not in the funnel. This is in social media. This is in ads. This is in your blog. This is elsewhere outside of your funnel.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, the very first level of the funnel isn't in the funnel that everybody's talking about.
Right.
So we need to expand our brains and say, okay, well, a funnel is a marketing structure and funnel pages are just one portion of this structure.
Right.
So let's move down there a little bit. Education. That's the meaning. And we need to tie it to the result. And that's kind of the interest to desire. It's the education to justification, the meaning to the result. Let's see if I can copy that. Oh, no, it's going to go all funky. Nope. We're just going to make another one.
I had to screenshot this, by the way.
All right.
This is great.
So we also then down to the end, the invitation, from justification to invitation. That's where we're also tying it back together to the outcome. So this is in the ideal client map. It's the same idea. You're starting at one end and going through the journey, but you always tie back and reference the starting point, which the starting point is referencing the end point.
Right.
So it's congruent and everything ties together. But let's come back to this top level is not inside the funnel. Okay. And that could be a multitude of places, depending on if you run ads in magazines or on Facebook or if it's on YouTube or if it's just organic or all these different ways that could happen. But that's not on the physical funnel, in the funnel builder.
Mm-hmm.
But the education part and justification part, that definitely could be on sales pages, on a main sales page. And that's the meaning and result that we're talking about, the interest and desire. If you were a door-to-door salesman, you would be going out and talking to the person and saying, hey, I know you have this problem. Let's see what we can do to solve this problem. And, oh, hey, I know that you have this objection, but I've got the answer to your objection. Which that's what this is, educating them and justifying why the solution is the right solution and why they probably want to take advantage of it right now.
Right.
So I've been kind of going full charge here. I'm going to rein in a little bit. Carl, what are your thoughts? Any questions?
Now, I love how you have this mapped out and it's a simplified way and you broke it down really well. You know, and it just for those who I'm pretty sure you're aware. If you're not aware, you know, the whole funnel idea is like you think about it like a funnel. Visualize a funnel and just adding this. I love how you did talk about that, Monty, and I love how you added this to that. So in my mind, I'm visualizing a funnel in the back of this, and the backdrop of this. And I love how you lined it up as well, actually. So and so for me, that connects some dots, which I knew it verbally, but visually I didn't recognize it all together, which that's an idea to do too, to put it in the backdrop. I
couldn't get that to happen very quickly, so I just abandoned that thought.
Oh, but no, it's all
that's
good.
Okay, because actually what I'm going to go into next is how, since this is a journey, a map is a better representation than a funnel. Because here's the other thought. A funnel means that you are expecting large amounts of people to come down to small amounts of people. And potentially, if you have the right target audience and the right message and the right thing for sale, that you could have some people come in and some people stay in and the same amount of people buy. So maybe your funnel is just a slide.
Yeah.
And so, but there's different structures. And now let's look at that. So we've already defined that this top thing is not inside a funnel builder of any sort. And it could be from multiple places, all these different places. So that right there is like, I suppose that's the top of the funnel. That makes sense. It's wide to bring them in. Right. Okay. Well, here in the education and justification, we've already talked about a sales page does that job. And in the funnel builder, that's what we're talking about. And interestingly enough, we're not talking about the order bump or the one-time offer yet. We're not there yet. That's not part of the funnel structure.
Right.
That's part of the invitation. That's at the very bottom.
Right.
That's after they click to buy and have entered in their, well, not the order form bump, but they've committed to buy at the order form bump. So
Yeah, they're about
that's
to
the
go there.
invite and the action stage. So up here in the education and justification part, no thinking about OTOs, no thinking about order form bump. Right now,
Okay.
we are just trying to make sure that these people that we are talking to are on the same page as us about what is the problem that they want solved. How do they perceive it? What do they want? And can I get it to them?
Right.
Now, what if this part was all done in a webinar? What if when you get to the invitation part, it's not because they read a sales page in a funnel building software. They were in a live webinar and they were pitched. And when they were invited, they wanted to buy. Now, in this circumstance, it may be a little redundant to send them to a full-on sales page if you've just pitched to them. That might be a turnoff. That might be too much. They're ready to buy, and now there's all this stuff. That might be the place just to have a nice cart page that says, here's what you're getting, buy it.
Right.
So that just took our funnel and just made it all wonky. Or another way to look at it is we took our funnel and now we've just narrowed it down super quick. There is no stages.
Right.
It's just that. So there's different ways of looking at that if you want to interpret the funnel. That's why I'm proposing a map. We're just going from this destination to that destination to that destination, or to these milestones on our way to the destination.
Right. True.
And so therefore it can come in from different roads.
Right. Cool thing is at the end of the day, too, you could test it out to see what works and how people respond to it as well. That's the beauty of it. You can have a pulse on it.
That's the big point here, Carl. That a funnel structure should not be this exact thing that's in a funnel builder with these OTOs and these upsells, downsells, and round sells. That's not the point.
Right.
Point is to identify the customer's journey and then align your journey to coincide.
Yeah. Be on the same page. No pun intended.
Be on the same page. Be on the same road. Be in the same location, on the same bus. So many ways of putting that.
Right.
But when you can expand the thought process out and say, okay, I have a sales page because I run these ads and that's where I send them. Great. I do this webinar, so I'm going to have this cart page where I send people there. So my overall funnel structure has mini funnels inside of it based on which avatar in the target market, in the target audience. Different avatars are probably going to have different journeys. Not probably, they are going to have different journeys.
They are. Yeah. So
when you identify that AIDA journey, then you can identify the PEGI, the PEJI, promotion, education, justification, invitation, all the shuns, the shun journey.
Yeah. The shun.
But
PEGI.
You don't need to be
PEGI
shunned.
shun.
It's okay.
Shun PEGI. No, playing around with that.
But that's just another way of looking at it. And then you can tie that together. That's the point. Okay, the customer journey, here's my journey, and how we're talking together and what we're talking about. Oh, features and benefits that give us an outcome. Promoting it. All right, now let's educate them about the meaning. What does that all mean? And what kind of result is that going to give you? Well, that's kind of cool too, but a lot of people need that last dot. Connect that last dot. What's the outcome? What does that mean? Another meaning. I kind of think that meaning is the feature benefit meaning, and then outcome is the meaning result meaning. So that's why I had to use the different word, outcome.
Makes me think about that. What is that destination? What does it feel like? What is the experience? How will you be laying back? How would it makes me think about all of that. Yeah.
Yep, and that is exactly that's exactly the point. Because in the promotion stage, that's all you're wanting to talk about is what's the end result? What's that feeling at the end?
Right. And I love that. That's great.
Yeah, that pretty much.
What a cool endpoint for the map. Makes me to kind of to use my creativity to use my wording, my creativity for the end of the journey and what it could look like for people. When I think about the concept of the map, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, just more perspective.
Yeah.
And then that ties together with my other maps. And so that's the beauty of it, is that different people see things differently, and different context resonates better with some people than others. So just having all these different ways of looking at it to break through that just initial feature benefit and then feature benefit meaning, and just go right into the FBMRO, the feature benefit meaning result, and therefore the outcome. A lot of times, at least for me, I always assumed, I took for granted that just saying what the result was, I visualize things very easily, and other folks need a little bit more description to fully latch onto that vision.
Agreed.
So by tying that result to the outcome in their context, in their perspective.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's huge. And it's for me, the way I look at it too, is a continual journey. Like, you have to continually do the research, pay attention to your audience, pay attention to the responses that you're getting, and keep going further when it comes to the meaning. I think about the meaning, because that is such a huge, I mean, it's a big deal for us as far as business owners, but as far as even bigger for them, because the result is for them. So when you express that, Monty, it makes me think and try to be more creative and go further and pay more attention, to be more aware, audience aware of what it does for them and what it means for them as far as the end result. So yeah, this is, I love this, and I love the overlap, because it makes me think, and it helps me to use my critical thinking more, but also to pay attention.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like it when people critical think.
Critical think. Don't criticize, but critically think.
Right.
Think critically. Create. Critically and creatively. Critical thinking. Absolutely. Oh, that's important though, because it's easy to be, I wouldn't even say always lazy-minded, but there's just so much that goes on with the process of everything you have to do, whether you're working with a team or if you're a solopreneur. But if you're aware of all of those elements and you put as much together as possible, but if you have a tool like you're talking about that can help you with the process, that's a big deal. It is very helpful to help you to get to your destination as the business owner for your clients.
I think that one of my big points with this, though, and I'm gonna see if I can get this. No, it's gonna fight me. I'm gonna see if I can get this. Aha! Back
Stop
over
fighting.
into here, because I had something and it just flew out of my head because I had to struggle with tech to get there. Got distracted. Well, the big point that I wanted to really point out is that it's common to hear about the customer journey, and that we need to be focused in on the customer journey.
Right.
Now, I'm using critical thinking here and saying, hey, let's go another step and say, well, what does that mean my journey needs to be now? Because my journey isn't the same as the customer's journey, because I've either already been there, done that, and mine was rough and I don't want theirs to be rough, so it's going to be different than mine, or I didn't actually do that journey because I discovered the solution, so I want to bring them out of their journey into my journey. But the point is that you have a separate journey. The marketer has a separate journey. And by mapping it out like this, it helps you say, well, if they're doing that and they need to do this, what could I do? How could I position myself? So here's a great analogy. I love anecdotes and analogies. So someone fell in the river and you want to help pull them out, but you kind of need to make sure you're positioned right, because you don't want to get pulled in with them. That's not going to help them. So it's your positioning. You got to figure out, there's the little outcropping. Let me run up there, get to the outcropping so I can reach out, grab onto this branch and provide the helping hand. So that's where I need to go. I see that they're going down the river and going to go over the falls. So two different journeys side by side, and they have a problem. You have the solution. You need to position yourself in a way where they're like, oh, I see it.
Right.
And then when they see it, you can provide a result and you don't get pulled in with them.
Right. And that positioning needs to be firm. If it ain't firm, you're going to fall in with, like you mentioned. So absolutely. Yeah, this is great.
Or I think I like my brain always after the thought comes up with better ones, that they slip through your hand. You don't have a good stance and they slip through your hands and they go over the falls. Oh, we don't want that.
Right.
So just seeing that they have a journey and you are guiding them. So you could be intentful. You could be aware and intentful.
Mm-hmm.
You can use the AI that's not AI. Or you could use AI with your AI.
AI with your AI. Intentful. No, this is great though, Monty. It makes me think, and what's going through my mind now too is, as I put out my content and as I have my strategy, what elements are at what points, even at the top of the funnel or even before the funnel, like what elements of my strategy is where, and as I look at this as a whole, what can it look like based off of what the need is, as far as the understanding that's needed when it comes to the feature benefit and meaning. It makes me think about all the elements. So it gives me a 30,000 foot view, and it gives me more insight if I pay attention.
That's great. I like you referencing my term, the 30,000 foot view. And that's what mind mapping does for me. It lets me look at that whole picture there. I was able to put that out there. There's no way that I would have been able to explain that verbally.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it couldn't be explained verbally. There's just no way that I could explain it clearly verbally, because I like to babble and ramble and go off and stuff. So having the mind map helps focus. I can bring it back around, tie it back to the beginning.
Right.
Make
it concise.
Reference.
Right. Wow, that's great, Monty. That is a great tool, man. And what I hear, can't help but say this, but what I hear is, even with the tool that you have, and then you mentioned it before a little bit too, but based off of our conversation, having different versions based off of the need of your tool, if that makes sense. More than two versions, actually. That's just that's my instinct.
Absolutely. That was the expand your brain part. It's that there's not a set way, but there is the structure. No matter how you look at it, these are steps that people take in a broad sense, but not diving in, like getting a psychiatric degree or psychology degree or going that far into it. Just nice, manageable, bite-sized chunks. Here's the basic stages. Here's how to look at it from this context and perspective. Here's how to look at it from this context and perspective. Now, both of those have all the variables to make them have many different contexts and perspectives, as there are people on the planet. But by having the framework, you can apply it towards any of those things rather than being stuck on this is the way it works, and therefore a bunch of people fall out of it.
Right.
Or a bunch of people on the marketer's side struggle and stress and invest more time than necessary into trying to conform to some model that is proven.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. Absolutely. But and I think about on a practical with a practical degree, practical in ways you could apply immediately.
Right. That was the point of having the mind map there, was that so that somebody could take a look at that and replay it and stop it and take a screenshot or whatever and say, oh, I see. I'm not limited to exactly this. It's just that here's this journey. That's why I like that map too. So it's not doesn't have to go here. I mean, maybe it goes over here and then over here and then over to here. Because my target audience is only this much aware, and I have to educate them 3 more levels, which can't happen inside of a funnel. I have to nurture them longer.
Right.
And so when I get to the funnel, I need to be focused on that end result, because by that time I've educated them to a certain point. By the time I send them to that funnel, it's focused on one key thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas other funnels, people come in because they're coming in from all sorts of different directions. And so there are lots of different things in there.
Yeah.
No right and wrong, just different strategies, different tactics. And if you're aware of your audience, you can intentfully strategize.
Right. More insight, more information. Well,
and again, you can't measure something if you don't have a starting point. And you can't improve something if you're not measuring it.
Right. Very true. Man, this is good stuff, Monty. I'm digging it.
My brain was on overdrive.
So that's what you were talking about when you talked about your epiphany.
Yeah. Well, actually, my epiphany was the mini map, but that's a whole other topic. Well,
yeah, but I feel like that's even connected too.
Well, the map is connected. The feature benefit meaning, the customer journey, and then inside of the customer journey is the train of thought. And that's what the ideal client map is focusing on, is the train of thought, and how to put yourself in their shoes. More than their shoes is put yourself in their head, get their context and their perspective. But that's a whole other episode. I like that. And same with this here. What's that?
I was saying, can I add something to that too? You said put yourself in their head. How about this? Put yourself at their side, where you are their guide, and you're just sitting down and having a conversation. That's what that reminds me of too.
That's great too. Yep. As
no
long
one
as
way. No one way.
As long as you are getting context and perspective from them and not yourself. That's the key.
Right. Meaning, having that empathetic conversation where you are able to understand where they're at specifically, where you are able to be a guide, but to be a guide, you got to be able to listen and see where they're at and pay attention. Have that awareness. That's great, man.
So this all leads into the order form bump and the OTO and that stuff, which is stuff we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So a little out of sequence maybe, but there's the tie together. Cool. And how it flows.
Right. And if you're interested, tune in to last week's episode.
That's right.
Check it out.
That's right.
Good stuff, man. I love it. This was great. I took me some screenshots.
Well, I did surprise you with it. You didn't have any warning about it. And I mind mapped it right here. Good. This was the first time. That was the first mind map. So
it was. Oh, nice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was kind of part of the fun of the show. It's like, let's do this together. Let's dissect this thing out. And now, as with all my mind maps, this will become refined the more we discuss it.
Right. Yeah. Got to be that ninja.
So I am changing my ticker tape thing as we speak, right there. So if you want to find more, hear more, discuss more, see more, find more of this type of information, then you could visit and join the Facebook group, Copy and Content Secrets. You can get there by going to facebook.copyandcontentsecrets.com. And there
Nice.
is where I will be expanding and elaborating on this topic and how it leads into, we're going to map out how it leads into all the other aspects.
Love it. Love it.
Now, what if someone's looking at this, Carl, and they're like, that means I got to talk to people. That's my problem. I understand all this stuff, but boy, I just can't articulate it. I'm shy.
Yes.
What could a
Well,
shy person do?
what a shy, you know what? Hey, I am shy. Naturally, I am an introvert. So if you feel like, hey, you know what? I have a hard time expressing, communicating. I'm camera shy. I am stage shy. And I have a hard time communicating what I need to communicate. You can go to carlaleen.com, where you'll get some insights, you'll get some support and help on how to show it with confidence, to express this stuff. Because this stuff needs to be expressed at some point. You got to talk to somebody. So go there.
The world needs your perspective.
That's right.
You know, don't deprive the world of your expertise and knowledge and viewpoint and perspective. Just because you're a little shy. We need everybody. AI is churning out a bunch of clones. We need as much uniqueness out there as possible, please.
Right. And there's only one you. There's only one you. So you might as well express it. You know, make sure you're competent. We got to be competent. We always got to strive to be competent, but make sure there's no one else like you. So you need to express your brand.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Well, there we go. There we have it. Keep it simple for the show, Carl. I'm going to break that down to keep it simple. It's remember that your customer journey is unique. Oh, I guess maybe I need to tie all the dots together there. Okay, your customer journey is unique. So therefore, you need to approach the journey uniquely and align your journey with their journey. And there you will gain more resonance than with fancy wording and flashy graphics. If you align your journey and their journey and amplify the result and give them the outcome they're looking for, it's a win-win situation.
Agreed. Win-win, third win. I love that. I love that. And your audience needs you at their side. And so that doesn't have to be literally by their sides, but there are tools like this tool that can help you to be at their side, to help with the right messaging. And I'll leave it at that so it won't be complicated.
We had a comment come in. I was busy changing screens here. We got Marie. This is a great way to convince someone who can make up his mind.
To help give them support.
Great. Well, we appreciate you chiming in and joining us. We'll wrap up this show for today and have yourself a great week. And we'll see you next Monday.
A fantastic week. See you next Monday.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
See you later. Have a good one.